One of the most common exercises out there is the squat. It's a really functional exercise. You probably do it every day without even knowing it. Getting off your couch, getting off the toilet, standing up out of your car. You use the squat in a lot of different movements throughout your life. So it's also super important that we do it correctly so that we don't injure ourselves. So that's what I'm going to go over today. All those common little mistakes that I see when I see people doing a squat so that you can make sure that you're doing your squats perfectly. The first issue actually involves the positioning of the neck, but you can fix it by where you're actually looking in your squat. So instead of looking down or too far up, you actually want to look right in front of you, keeping that neck as a continuation of the rest of your spine. Another issue I see a lot of is the rounding of the shoulders. Shoulders tuck forward. It's a tightening of those chest muscles. What I really want to see is you roll those shoulders back, let the shoulder blades melt down the spine, and then you've got a really tall, confident squat here. While this next issue may look like it's a rounding of the shoulders, it's actually a rounding of the upper back or the thoracic spine. You really want to lift your chest, straighten out that back, almost like someone had a knife right in between your shoulder blades. Another huge problem I see is the one of the low back sway. To fix this, you go ahead and rock that pelvis underneath, zip up the abdomen so you have a nice tight core, keeping the spine nice and neutral with all the natural curves, no excessive curvature in the spine. One issue I see that causes a huge potential for injury is the inward or outward movement of the knee. So this happens especially on the rise or the way up in the squat. Ideally, what you want to do is activate through the back posterior muscles or the glute muscles, and then at the bottom of your squat and anywhere in your squat, you want to make sure that those knees are lined up right over the ankles, and then you use the glutes to rise. Sometimes there's a tendency to see a squat as a movement at only the knee joint. In reality, it's actually a movement at the hip joint, then the knee joint, and also the ankle gets a little bend in there as well. So you really want to send those hips backward like you're sitting on a bench or a chair, and then stand back up. Sometimes people will try to go lower in their squat by, instead of sending the hips back, lifting their heels off the ground. Ideally, you'd like to keep your heels on the ground and sit back, just like we said before, in those hips like you're sitting on a bench or a chair behind you, keeping your chest up nice and tall and keeping your heels on the ground.